to Power Conversations podcast by What's Your Superpower TV. This podcast features conversations of overcoming by faith and pushing through to fulfill a purpose-driven life. This podcast is hosted by CEO and best-selling author Nadia Francois. Welcome to the broadcast. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Power Conversations Podcast Summer Book Tour, the Juneteenth edition. Power Conversations is a division of What's Your Superpower Digital Media, a kingdom empowerment brand that offers visibility opportunities to entrepreneurs, authors, coaches, and community leaders. Learn more at www.whatsuperpower.com. Today we have joining us author Ron Harrill. Let me bring him in. Hi, King.
Hello.
I'm going to read a little bit of his bio. Ron Harrill is a historian, author, and lecturer on the history of Africa and African people. He is author of Makeda, Queen of Sheba, the International Book Award winner for children's picture book. He is the owner of R. Harrill Enterprises Publishing Company. He also authored the book Children of Genesis, the Black Nations in the Old Testament. Welcome, King. How are you?
I am doing fine. Thank you so much for having me.
You are very welcome. Tell us a little more about your book.
Well, the book that we're featuring today is on the biblical character and the iconic queen, the Queen of Sheba. Most people have heard either through biblical writings or somewhere in their lives about this special queen. This queen is the only queen that made the Old Testament, the New Testament, the Holy Quran, and the teachings of Jesus. She's the only queen that made all of those. She is probably second only to Queen Esther in the Bible. Most people think she is of a certain color, but she is a pure Ethiopian queen, and that's where the aha moment goes. An Ethiopian, yes, she is an Ethiopian queen. And in my journeys through history, because that's where my passion is, studying African history, I spent about 3 years on Ethiopian history, because probably Ethiopians are, a lot of people think the Egyptians are the greatest, but it's probably the Ethiopians. They're the oldest nation that we know of. So the Ethiopians have an ancient manuscript, just like we find in the Dead Sea Scrolls. There are manuscripts all over the old world. Well, there was a manuscript that they found in a cave, and it was carbon dated to possibly back to the 5th century. Some people think that may not be accurate, but it's a very old manuscript that is translated Glory to the Kings, and it's a certain number of biographies of certain Ethiopian kings and queens. So when they found that manuscript, it's called the Kebra Nagast. The Queen of Sheba's whole biography was contained in that manuscript. So back in the 1990s, before the internet, I was able to get a copy from the University of Alabama on special loan. And that's what became the basis of my book, because they have her history from birth to death.
Wow.
And the Bible has just the story of her going to see King Solomon to see if he was the wisest man. Well, that story is in the Bible, but it's also the same story that's in that ancient Ethiopian manuscript. They don't stray from each other, and they don't differ, even though they were written 1,000 miles apart from each other. So I used the ancient manuscript and coupled it with the biblical recordings. And I first wrote the book in 1995. And then I republished, we did a complete remake of the book in 2012.
Okay.
And that's the book that we submitted, Nadia, for some literary competitions. My editor said, why don't we just enter some things? Maybe we can win 5th place honorable mention somewhere. Somebody might give us something.
Yeah.
And Nadia, we entered about 4 or 5 competitions. And in this particular international competition, we won Children's Picture Book Award.
Wow.
But when we first received it, I thought it was a spam. I said, so, so I said, this might be a spam because we were going for honorable mention runner up and we won the whole thing. But the book is it's really written on the 13-year-old level. So it's right at the adult reading, heavy, highly illustrated book. Um, Documents all of the biblical places where you can find the queen. And she reigned for about 50 years. But without giving the book away, she became queen as a teenager. Her father died and her brother was no longer living, and she was the only heir left. So she became queen at about the age of 17, 16 or
Wow.
17. And at that time, her empire was one of the greatest biblical empires that we know of in the biblical Old Testament era. So here's a teenager in one of the world's ancient world's richest countries, a very powerful empire, trying to become a queen. And her iconic story of going to see Solomon is really a legendary story too, because
Yeah.
you got to remember they were 1,000 miles apart from each other, and she
Hmm.
made this journey.
Yeah.
Um, it took her 9 months to get there. 9 months, but she made it. She stayed, and in the book of First Kings, the 10th chapter, First Kings 10 chapter, look at the treasures that she gave Solomon as a gift. The treasures that this Ethiopian queen gave him are the largest treasures ever recorded in the Bible.
Wow.
No one gave anybody the amount of treasures, gold and silver and topaz and sapphires and incense, and just she gave it all away because they had so much.
Yeah.
So that's her story is one that when children buy the book or their parents buy the book, I get a lot of feedback because for young girls, they are highly intrigued that an African queen who looks like them is in
Yes.
the Bible.
Yes.
And as one young girl wrote me, she says, "I'm so impressed because most women in the Bible are just somebody's wife."
Hmm.
She says, "Now this queen was a queen by herself, and I'm just so glad that she did all these things on her own, and she was rich, but she was also intelligent." So I get a lot of feedback, Nadia, like that.
Hmm.
And it's the joy when you get letters. The farthest letter I've received from that book was from South Africa,
Wow.
from a family. But those things are nice
Yeah.
when you get the unexpected. So that book is still doing well. We translated it into an ebook version.
Okay.
Um, it's picking up some international momentum, and it's a big hit on February African History, Black History Month. It
Yeah.
is a big hit with students who are just saying, "Do you mind if I write my report on your book? Do you please write your book report?" So it's just a pleasure to get the feedback from parents, religious students, and people who said, "I never knew that she was an African queen."
Right.
But when I meet Ethiopians and they buy the book sometimes at a pretty fast pace, they
Yeah.
always ask me, "Why did you write this book? And how did you get this information? And
Hmm.
how did you get it correctly?" So it's really an honor to interact with the Ethiopians because they know the legacy far more than I do.
Yeah.
It's just that book, that writing that book has been very enjoyable.
Sounds like it, and it sounds so intriguing, even as an adult woman. So I'm sure our young ladies definitely take it in really well. I just wrote myself a note to order this book. So I
Okay.
want you to tell us,
Okay.
how do we get a copy of this book? And if
Okay.
you have anything else that we need to be known, let
Sure.
us know.
The quickest way, the book is on Amazon and the major channels. But if you'll go to my website, www.ron, RON, Harrill, HARRILL.com, RONHARRILL.com, uh, my website will come up, and all of my books are there for easy purchase.
All
You can
right.
just click if you're an Amazon purchaser. You can just click and it'll take you right to the Amazon purchase page. Plus,
Awesome.
you'll see bio information on me, and you'll see information on my latest book that's gaining traction. And Nadia, that's a book that's a historical book on the large multitude of Black nations that are in the Old Testament. The
Okay.
Old Testament is full of Black nations, but people have to understand the word race and color was not invented in the times of Old
Mm,
Testament writings. That's why you don't see people classified by race and color. They're classified by nation only. Were you an Egyptian, Amorite, Hittite, Moabite? What nation do you belong to? So that book, Children of Genesis, the Black nations of the Old Testament, is an adult book, a biblical supplement, religious supplement, but it's a historical book. So you see that one on my website also.
love it. Yes, I'm excited. This was really good contribution to this
Thank you.
Juneteenth book tour. I'm super
Thank you.
excited about this. Yeah, I like to even though I don't have any daughters, books that contribute to us women, I love to support and pass them along. So I am going to get that book. I'm gonna read it first.
And it's
And
also for young guys too, because
really,
yeah, but the young ladies are really intrigued on it
yeah.
because it's a queen. But a lot of fathers and mothers are buying it for their boys too.
Okay. Okay. I have a house full of sons.
Okay, well it'll fit. It'll fit them because they'll study a rich and powerful ancient empire.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Now, I want to ask you one final question.
Yes,
What impact are you trying to make with your writing?
Nadia, with my books, my desire is I want to help move humanity forward. I
Mm,
want to help humanity in a humanitarian way. I want to add value to show the world that, contrary to what you're thinking, that Blacks have not contributed to civilization and things like that, in the ancient world before the birth of Christ, we were the fountainhead of civilization.
mhm.
We were the beginnings of biblical era Old Testament civilizations. We are the infrastructure builders of that Old Testament. It wasn't the Israelites. They used the infrastructure and they are the dynamic characters, but we are the fountainheads. We were at the beginning. So I just want to add value to humanity without tearing down any other parts of humanity and
Yeah,
make humanity better.
I love that. I love it. Thank you so much,
Thank
Mr. Ron
you. Thank
Harrell,
you.
for joining us for our Juneteenth book tour.
Thank
Do
you
you
so
have
much.
any final thoughts?
No, just please go out to my website. Us independent authors, we need your help.
Yes,
It's hard being an independent author. So please take a look, study my background, study my books, look at the reviews that are on the postings. So that's all. Nadia, once again, thank you so much.
you are very welcome. And I have put your website in the comments. So whenever, if they watch the replay, if they're ready to order now, they have access to your website. And we
Thank you.
thank you so much for joining us and
Okay.
sharing your amazing works with us.
Okay. Have a good day. Have a good evening.
You as well, sir.
Okay. Bye bye.